So the last posthumous Juice World album just came out. And these posthumous Juice World albums just operate in this morally gray area for me because there's a lot to be said about the ethics of releasing a posthumous album when the artist isn't there to approve that what is being released to the public is fully their vision. And so for most artists, what it comes down to is the music finished? Like, did this artist, while they were alive, take a song to completion that they were planning to release? And if they were planning to release it, great, we could put it out. But if it was in the stage where they hadn't fully figured out what it was, maybe it shouldn't come out. And the two best examples of people doing it right and people doing it wrong is comparing Mac Miller with XXXTentacion. Mac Miller was known for finishing a new studio album as soon as the previous one came out, so other than like some tweaks he would have made, he had Circles pretty much finished. Whereas XXXTentacion did not really have a finished album, and his estate has completely just gutted every little bit of his voice. Like, if he has a scratch track of him mumbling or an Apple voice note, they would take it and put it in the hook of a song. And so that's why Mac Miller's Circles sounds very respectful and very much like him. And all of XXX's posthumous releases have felt very disrespectful. They don't sound finished. They sound very rough. They're obviously padded out with features, some of whom X didn't even know when he was alive. But with Juice World, it's not that cut and dry, because Juice World had a very different recording process than most musicians. Juice World had a lot of music that you could easily argue was finished. Juice World has somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 songs that he finished recording. You see, Juice World freestyled all his songs. He never sat down and wrote anything. Many producers have told the story of how he records, but essentially someone would play him a beat, he would completely freestyle an entire song. He would start the beat over again and completely freestyle a whole different song. And then he would just pick which song he liked best. Or if he wanted to get really technical, maybe he would chop bits from one take into another. But in real time, Juice WRLD could churn out a finished song. In the real time it takes to play the beat, like 2 to 3 minutes. That's how long it took Juice WRLD to finish a song. And that's why there are between 2,000 and 3,000 unreleased Juice WRLD songs, because he could just make them so fast. So it's not the same thing as it is with most artists when debating what music should be released posthumously, because it's not a matter of are the songs finished or not. The challenge for posthumously releasing Juice WRLD songs is a matter of curation. Because without Juice WRLD around, it's hard to know which songs he would have been proud of and which songs he would have wanted to hold on to. Because there are the obvious standouts like Lucid Dreams and Robbery, but there are the less obvious, like, kind of filler songs on some of these albums that it's tough to weigh the merits of those songs that he decided to put out with the merits of, like, all of these thousands of songs that are sitting on his hard drive when trying to decide what would he have wanted to put out and what would he have not wanted to put out. And so that tough decision is completely left up to his management, which it's tough to say if they're doing a good job or not. Because a lot of fans, and myself included, do have some criticisms with what they decided to release and how they decided to release it. Because to put it into perspective, there are 3 posthumous Juice WRLD albums, each about an hour long, and even with all that material released, there are still fan favorite leaks and snippets to songs that still haven't seen the light of day officially. And it's so weird that some of those songs they decided just not to put out at all. Like, a few of them might have some sample clearance issues, but a few of them probably don't. There are even rumors that Juice WRLD had an album ready to go, but then it leaked, and so he was kind of second guessing if he was going to put it out or not. But a lot of the songs that, at least at one point, Juice WRLD thought were good and intended to release, a lot of those songs have not appeared on these posthumous releases. And then by contrast, some of the songs that have appeared on these releases, fans just think are kind of mid, and they wonder why these songs were substituted for the songs that they already love. The other weird thing about releasing all these Juice WRLD songs so long after his death is it ethical to change the production that he had originally. Because on one hand, there have been a lot of instances where Juice WRLD's label and management have tweaked songs, added features, taken off features, changed the beat to songs, made these songs completely different than what Juice WRLD had while he was alive. And that feels a little icky to me. So that just feels uncomfortable that they're changing the songs from what Juice WRLD had made them when he was still around. But the other side of this also is kind of uncomfortable too. Because one of the main problems with releasing these posthumous Juice WRLD albums every 2 to 3 years, like the album cycle of an artist that is alive, is the sound of popular music and hip-hop music is changing. But the sound of Juice WRLD is mostly staying the same. And listening to The Party Never Ends, that really stands out, that the rest of the world has moved on, and Juice WRLD is still trapped in 2019. Like, not only do the beats sound like 2019 beats, but Juice WRLD as a writer is forever trapped as a 21-year-old, where this album is being released almost 5 years after his death. So a lot of his fan base that found him when they were young, they have grown up a lot in these past 5 years. Their tastes have changed. What they look for in music is different, and they can't fully appreciate this Juice WRLD music the way they would have if it was released 5 years ago. Especially the people that found Juice WRLD when they were in middle school or high school. Like, you do a lot of growing in 5 years. And this leads perfectly into the next big criticism of these posthumous Juice WRLD releases is, since Juice WRLD is trapped in his 21-year-old self, the content of a lot of his music was about drugs. And that can make for a really awkward and uncomfortable listening experience, knowing in hindsight that he died of an overdose. It's really tough listening to some of these posthumous songs about his excessive drug use, knowing that that's what killed him. And the people releasing these albums know that, and they've tried to make some tweaks and changes to mitigate the effects of that, but those also haven't felt great. Like, with his second posthumous album, Fighting Demons, they kind of tried to frame the whole thing as like an anti-addiction statement. Like, they specifically arranged tracks and added material to kind of send an overall message that this drug use is destructive and not okay, but kind of the way that was executed, it didn't feel like a Juice WRLD album. Like, the voice of other people that weren't Juice WRLD was standing out. It really did feel like instead of releasing the album Juice WRLD would have wanted to release, it was people after his death making their own statement and putting it into Juice WRLD's mouth. So yeah, that's the dilemma with releasing posthumous Juice WRLD, is if you keep it exactly the same, the instruments are going to sound dated, and the music itself is going to sound subpar because it's being compared to what is being released right now. The lyrics to these songs are going to be filled with references to drug use that the people that were attached to Juice WRLD and are sad about his passing aren't going to want to hear. But on the other hand, if you change the production and make it sound more modern, then you're taking away from what Juice WRLD was doing with his art. And if you take away the references to drug use, or if you try to switch them around and reframe them, or add an Eminem verse that's very anti-drug, it's all going to feel like people other than Juice WRLD trying to make a statement through a Juice WRLD album. And again, it's less him. And again, I'm very conflicted myself on this, because out of those 3,000 unreleased Juice WRLD songs, he probably really wanted to release a good portion of those, and especially the songs that he posted snippets of. Like, he was definitely proud of them and wanted fans to hear them. And I don't even know the best thing to do, but the more I think about it and talk about it right now, the more I think what the most ethical solution would be is pretty soon after Juice World's death, they just sort of gone through all 3,000 of those songs, picked like the 500 to 1,000 that they knew Juice World loved and was proud of, and just dropped those on a website and let fans scrub through and sort them out themselves and decide for themselves what songs are great and what songs don't need to be listened to. But again, something like that isn't going to happen because Juice World was a massive cash cow for his label, and there is a lot of money to be made off of his songs. The only other solution other than that is to just not release it at all, which we know legally if the label could release Juice World music, they're going to release Juice World music and they're going to stretch it out as long as possible. Make as much money as they can. And as much as I do like Juice World, I am glad that we're seeing the end of posthumous releases. I really do think it is time to just let this man rest. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys think this should have been handled, or if just no posthumous releases at all should have come out. Because again, with Juice World, it's not a matter of are there finished songs. It's a matter of curation and choosing what songs to release. But I do think his label could have done a better job with these releases, especially this most recent one. Like, a lot has been said about the cover art, and I want to like it so much because Takashi Murakami is one of my favorite artists. Like, he's literally designed my favorite album cover of all time. But as much as I see the vision for turning Juice World into his style of character, this character really is just fundamentally unflattering. And the inclusion of these Murakami type characters in the background, I see the vision, but there's very little composition. They're just all mashed together, and it's just unsightly to look at from a distance, which is so weird to me because the composition is the strength of the Kids See Ghosts cover. And then seeing the Juice World Fortnite skin and the Juice World emote, it feels a little Black Mirror, that this guy that's been dead for 5 years is still living on in this virtual world and being puppeted by children across the world. It's a little dystopian if you sit down and think about it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the posthumous Juice World. I mean, I listened to the most recent album once, and I don't think there's really anything I would return to. It's weird to me that some of those songs were released while some of the fan favorite leaks or a lot of the stuff with Young Thug isn't on that album. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about posthumous Juice World, posthumous releases in general in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me everywhere at Robert2_Isaac. You can subscribe to this channel, see more videos like this. I am also a filmmaker, and I am prepping for my next short film, which is a horror film about a musician. And if that sounds interesting to you, I have a link in the description with a pitch video where I talk about my vision for the film, what it's going to be, and I'll be launching a crowdfunding campaign for that sometime next year. So if you check out the pitch video and you like what you see, subscribe here and I'll let you know when that's live. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.